In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to deal with rejection like a pro. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Prithvi Chauhan, and I'm the founder of a healthcare investment company which is based in the UAE. And I have managed to bring together some of the most high-profile executives in the whole country, including billion-dollar company CEOs. I have negotiated with some of the largest financial institutions in UAE. I've negotiated with top law firms with $1 billion in revenue, and I have been involved in several multi-million dollar negotiations. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to deal with rejection like a pro. And I'm 29 years old, and when I started out, I had a lot of insecurities, and all I had was my phone and my laptop. And what I had to do was, I knew exactly what I had to do, but I had to make a lot of phone calls and do a lot of presentations, and it was a very tedious process. And whenever you want to create something that's big, you have to make a lot of phone calls, and not a lot of those phone calls go well. And there were a lot of the times when I was rejected, when people were rude to me, and I started to notice a pattern that in some scenarios it hurt more than the other. And rejection is a terrible thing, and it can, you could start with a very upbeat, enthusiastic mode. Yes, I'm going to start my company. And as you go along, as presentations go by, you can start to get more and more drained as you get rejected. And I started to see a pattern as to in some of the times I felt more drained than the other. And some of the times I couldn't recover from the rejection for many days. And I started to see a hidden pattern as to why that is. So I started to look into the situation and analyze what could be the reason. And I want to share this with you so that it helps you deal with whatever you're dealing with and do your presentations more effectively and get opportunities and not have to deal with a harsh setback, right? So I want to talk to you about that, and let's get started. So one of the patterns that I saw was that it's not the rejection that was hurting me. What was hurting me was the time that I had spent that came at a cost of me not spending that time with my family, with my brother, with whoever, with my loved ones. And I gave this time to this individual, and then I didn't towards an outcome that would have benefited me, but now this individual denied that request. And if it's a quick no, then it wouldn't feel that bad. But if I got into a car, I went into a restaurant, and I sat down with that person for an hour, and then that person said no, it would hurt pretty bad. But it wasn't still as bad because it's a numbers game and you got to keep going. But if that person would have said yes at the beginning and tried to lead me on, saying that, oh yes, I'm interested, etc. And then after a few weeks, that person said something else or said that, oh, I changed my mind, then we have already done a few meetings and there is a lot of time that was wasted. And that time didn't come for free. There were so many other things that I could have done with that time. And it's the loss of time that is really painful. It's not the no. Anybody could be walking on the street and they may say, oh, I reject you. And I wouldn't care. I would just keep going. But what happens is when you start investing your time into people, because they give you an impression that they're interested, but they're actually not. And they don't share their concerns with you, and they don't put their case forward clearly and honestly. And I started to experience this even with the banks. Sometimes, they tend to give you a picture that everything is rosy, and then later on they say something else. And then the more time it goes by, the more you feel that hit. So it's really something to understand here and something to point out, that it's not the rejection itself, but it's the time that you lost. And the other situation that I would see where it would hurt really bad is if I don't have any other way to fulfill that outcome that I'm after. because we do presentations to accomplish a certain outcome. And if that's the only opportunity that I have to fulfill that and I don't get that, that means I'm not going to get this outcome. And that idea itself, even if it's not real, even if it's temporary, but you just lost that opportunity, that feeling of loss of that outcome that was so important to you is another reason why you feel the pain, or why I felt the pain, and why we all feel the pain. So at no point any one presentation should determine whether you will get what you want or not. You have to have several deals lined up. I don't care if it's a lover that you're looking for, or a business transaction, or a financial transaction. You got to have abundance of opportunities. You have to have multiple appointments in a single day at the same venue, and that's how you save time. So then what I started to do was I started to set up multiple meetings back to back on the same venue. And by the time I would get to second, third, fourth meeting, I've already forgotten about one. And this is something that a lot of the people even do with dates. They have multiple dates lined up, and if one doesn't work out, the other works out, and and you're not that attached. The person in front of you, whether it's a business transaction or a woman, she doesn't feel this attachment. And you're more comfortable and you can handle a no because you already have a prior appointment set, and you haven't imposed on them this obligation to please you, right? And you are a sort of well spread out, you're in abundance. If you don't get what you want with one person, you can get it from another. And that's the true essence of not being in a position of power and not being affected with rejection, is when you create this abundance of opportunity. When you diversify your risk over several presentations, having options, and finding a way to get a no quicker and saving time. So the reason it didn't hurt so much when I structured several presentations in one location, or for example even a Zoom call, is because I knew there is another one, and there should always be another one. And you have to set that up, and you cannot depend on just one presentation. So that's how you and the other thing that I started to do was I started to qualify people that I meet, even in my own mind. Is this person going to buy this thing? Is this person going to sell me their business? Is this person going to give XYZ? And what are the reasons that could be why they would do that? And are they motivated enough, or are they just swindling me around? And just asking yourself these questions can sort of give you an understanding, and then you can ask them also as soon as possible. And you also have to create the space in the meetings where other person can express their concerns. And you should have this segment in your presentation where you ask, do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns that you would want me to address? And if the opening is there, they will express it, and either you will handle it or you will not handle it. If you handle it very well, if you can't handle it, you can come back and talk to them again after you've handled it. If not, it's a no deal, no problem. But the sooner that conversation takes place, the better. A lot of the times, you don't want to bring up the ugly side of the deal, and they don't want to bring it up either. So everybody is just have a happy face and trying to portray that we agree with each other, but we really don't. And then it busts, it breaks up later on in the conversation, and then you have a situation where you have wasted a lot of time, and that feeling of loss comes from loss of time. It's not so much the no that you hear, it's the loss of time. So keep that in mind. I know I have expressed the points a little bit vaguely, because rejections can happen not just in deals, $1 million deals, but it can happen with women, it can happen with partners, friends, whatever it is. And I wanted to share the insight with you, how to deal with it in all scenarios. And remember, it's not the rejection, it's the time that you wasted with that person, and it's the loss of that opportunity. And you got to make sure you have enough avenues to fulfill that need, that outcome that you wanted. I'll talk to you soon.